This video is brought to you by NordVPN. I used liquid ingredients and no cooking. It's solid. Solid, solid. There must be a trick, right? Hold on a second. Ah, no trick. Just science. Hey guys, salut, this is Alex. Welcome back to the Mother Sauces series. And now this episode is going to be all dedicated to what I consider to be the greatest sauce ever invented, mayonnaise, and how it is able to achieve such a miracle. Like, oops. I'm gonna be very honest with you guys. Once you truly and finally understand the secret behind this very weird yet fascinating phenomenon, not only will you be a smarter cook, but you won't be able to mess up mayonnaise ever again. I mean, don't push your luck too far, okay? Right, so I just want to start with a classic mayonnaise recipe, and for this I've got Escoffier's reference cookbook, the cookbook that defined Mother Sauces in the first place. Yeah, I'm just looking for the mayonnaise recipe, which unlike Hollandaise is a mother sauce, but has been misplaced in this book. Do not get me started, please. Ribish, mayonnaise sauce. Egg yolk, oil, vinegar, and mustard. And I should point that egg yolk and oil are the real main component of all this. Now, this is mostly water. Same goes for vinegar, but also for mustard. So basically, you've got water and oil. And that's basically the only thing we need to do now, to mix water and oil. That's easy. There's no faffing around involved, just mix water and oil, that's it. Wow, the big deal. I mean, what could possibly go wrong with these two? Ta-da! Oil and water do not mix. I know it's very surprising, the kind of breakthrough you can expect on this channel, but in fact it's a tad more complicated than this. By applying mechanical force to it, you can in fact mix the immiscible or the unmixable, and this is what you get. An emulsion. The problem is that this beautiful emulsion is unstable. Just give it a bit of time, little droplets of oil will coalesce into bigger ones and they will rise to the top as the water sinks to the bottom since it's more dense than oil. And in the end, the two liquids will be completely separated. Obviously you can shake it again, but eventually an oil and water emulsion will always break. Unless of course you use an emulsifier. An emulsifier. That is one pretty big word for something quite simple. It's a substance which purpose is to bond things together. Imagine a family reunion with grandma's food, the tasty one, on the table. Now, some people around the table obviously can't stand each other. They want to split so bad, but they can't split because of the food. The food is acting as a bond between these different persons and bringing some stability to a quite heterogeneous system we call family. Alright, let's go back to mayonnaise. Now, in this system, the main emulsifier comes from the egg yolk, and it's called lecithin. Lecithin. Still a French person who's trying real hard to say words that were not made for his mouth. That is one amazing and quite potent emulsifier. Let me just show you how it works. If you were to look at mayonnaise sauce through the lens of a microscope, this is what you would see. Loads and loads of little droplets of oil swimming in water. And that's why it's called an oil in water emulsion. Lecithin, because it's a polar molecule, has two ends. One of them is attracted to water, while the other is attracted to oil. So it's called hydrophilic and lipophilic. Basically two ends, but one purpose, to create a bond between oil and water. And it works like this. Lecithin acts as a shield around these little droplets of oil. It's preventing them from moving or from coalescing into bigger ones, which would break the emulsion. Now this looks more like mayo, and guess what? This is stable. Now let's get practical. Alright, so let's talk about today's sponsor, NordVPN. So yes, I'm back in lockdown, which means that my work habits have to change again. I'm buying stuff online, I'm exchanging video edits online, meetings, and now that the December break is coming, I also plan to watch movies, watch series, but again, online. Basically for all this, to protect my data, to protect my privacy, but also to widen my options in terms of content that I want to watch. The streaming libraries from many different countries. Super easy to use, it even has both Android and iOS apps to secure your mobile browsing experience. Super fast servers, you can do up to 6 simultaneous connections, laptop and mobile easy. Plus NordVPN has a 24/7 customer support with live chat and emails. Right now you can get 68% off a 2-year plan plus 4 additional months for free when you go to nordvpn.com/FrenchGuy or use code FrenchGuy at checkout. This special offer makes your subscription just $371 per month. That is nordvpn.com/FrenchGuy to take control of the internet again. Now let's get practical. You can only be scared by things you don't understand or you don't want to understand. If you want to maximize your chances to actually make mayo, you should always mix all the ingredients but the oil first. Very important, but I'll come back to this later. Now, the oil. And you really want to go slow at first. That is crucial to keep the emulsion stable. I'm basically going to use that wooden stick to illustrate the point. That is going to be exactly 1 wire of this whisk. Sha, sa, sa, what it up? Slashing through these droplets and creating more and more droplets of oil. Now just imagine working with a whisk, so you multiply it by the number of wire, and every time you pass by, it feels like it's exponential more or less. You've got a mix of oil and water, and that mix is stable. Unfortunately, that mix is far from being thick enough to hold that blade. Well, basically these little droplets of oil are like small fishes swimming in a net that is way too big so that they can move freely wherever they want. So this can't be solid yet. So bear with me for a second, because what we're about to do is very counterintuitive. To make that liquid more solid, we're gonna add more liquid. In this case, we're gonna add more oil. Now, more liquid is gonna make it solid. When it's raining, it's sunny, and when I have no shoes, well, I can't finish this metaphor. Bear with me on this one. It's gonna make very much sense in a few seconds. The net is slowly getting more crowded. I know it's gonna turn good in the end. I know it because I understand what's happening. The droplets of oil are so small that you can barely see them no more. Okay, so now I can add more oil and more rapidly. So we have reached a critical point where droplets of oil don't have room to move freely no more, but still they can't pop, they can't coalesce, because lecithin is still preventing from doing so. Those poor little fishes. They're trapped in the net. Now that is mayonnaise. The little flappy net from the start has turned into this gigantic, bulging mesh.
There is no escape now.
The game
Is over.
The secret behind the world's stiffest mayonnaise was hidden in plain sight the whole time. It's never been a solid. Mayo always is liquids behaving as a solid.
That's my secret, Captain. I'm always angry.
Dun, 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 dun. Now, in all fairness, there are two questions which have remained unanswered in this episode. And to help you fail way less at making mayo, I need to cover them very briefly. First one, I told you mayo is an oil in water emulsion, which might sound odd considering the amount of oil. Clearly it should be a water in oil emulsion. Somebody needs to be wrong. Well, I don't get to decide, you don't get to decide either. Lecithin does. A chemist named Wilder Dwight Bancroft established emulsifier do pick a side. The emulsifier should always be dissolved in its favorite medium first. In this case, water. And that's why you saw me earlier on mixing egg yolk with mustard and vinegar first without adding any oil. And the second question that has remained unanswered is that literally every recipe on the planet will tell you to add oil gradually when you're making mayonnaise, but nobody tells you why. Until now. Earlier on, when I added a few drops of oil, I then slashed them in half, and then in half, and in half, into thousands and millions of little entities. Now, there is something even more efficient than the whisk. Spoiler alert, it's not the power drill. What is more efficient than the whisk is the sauce itself. You see, you've got tiny little droplets everywhere, and this is basically creating a grinder. Well, basically the oil that you brutally add towards the end is getting divided by these little droplets themselves, so they are working for me. This whole process is called the dispersion mill effect. Isn't that the best recipe ever? Not only does it taste amazing, not only does it have science, but you can get lazy towards the end of it. Okay, I love mayonnaise. Mayonnaise is fascinating. It's just mayo, right? Well, now you know that it's only apparently simple. Let's catch up in the next one. My hands are greasy. Bye bye, salut.